Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm back with another tutorial, and I know I haven't been consistent with the tutorial uploads lately, and I apologize. But let me explain. I decided to take some time away from them because I felt like I was wasting my time making videos, spending hours on them, just to have them overlooked, even with the sauce I was putting in them. I learned that it's definitely harder to compete organically with people that can purchase fake views and blow up. So I decided to take a step back. In that time, I kept getting asked about the tutorials in emails, DMs, shit. Even people on the street that know what I look like asked me, hey bruh, where the tutorials at? So I decided if I wasn't gonna get the attention through people on YouTube, then I'm just gonna put them on Instagram and Twitter. So I started posting producer tips of the day for about 2 months. Now I didn't even anticipate the feedback, but little did I know, I would be flooded in DMs and emails of just people from all over the world saying thank you, thank you, thank you. So I figured, if all these people are asking me to come back to YouTube, I figure the first video I'm gonna do is one that people asked the most about, the highly requested one, and that is today's lesson. So today, I'm gonna be teaching you guys about hi-hats. I know, there's 1,000 videos on YouTube about hi-hats, but I decided I wanted to make the go-to video for anybody that was a beginner, that was intermediate, or advanced. You can always learn more. So in this video, I wanted to show you my approach on hi-hats and things you can learn as well. So I'm gonna show you guys a mix of things with rhythm, panning, how to get more of a swing or natural feel, hacks, hotkeys, and more. So this is just my blueprint and just things that I've learned throughout the years through just trial and error and just endlessly making beats. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is rhythm. Now rhythm is what drives the bounce. Rhythm is obviously what creates the groove of everything. So where do you get your rhythm from? You get your rhythm from 2 places, either your drums or your melodies. And usually your melody is really what dictates that rhythm the most. Most people don't know it, but you create the drums around the rhythm of the actual loop or the music. Right? You can't just add any type of drums to just fit the melody. It's just not gonna work. If the melody has a different rhythm than the drums, it's not gonna work. So to demonstrate, I have a loop that I made that's from my jungle drum kit, and along with some sounds from that same kit that's out now, you can purchase. But listen to this. If you listen to it, you can hear the rhythm. So if you listen to the melody, it's pretty straightforward. So what's the first thing we usually do? We all hit fill each 2 steps, right? Now, that's cool. Anybody can do that shit. But we want a little bit more variety. So the rhythm is this, right? It's every 2, I guess. That's the rhythm right there. Personally, what I like to do is I like to use guidelines. Now, a lot of times we'll build the kick and snare right after that, after we have this rhythm. Usually what I like to do is use the kick as a guideline for the hi-hats. So I'm gonna create just a kick pattern. Okay, now that I have the kick there, what I like to do is I like to select these, copy them, and then paste them onto the hi-hats, and then bring them up, and then just use the mute button or the mute feature right here, and then just mute them. Now, I like to use the kick as the guideline. So I can put the hi-hat before or after, and it'll sound good. So usually with bounce, you want all the sounds to kind of play off each other. Everything has to fit within context. Everything has a pocket. So even if you listen to the kick right now, it's not doing too much. Like if I put it right here, it all fits within the rhythm. But if I do this, you know, this right here wasn't ear pleasing because it doesn't fit within that rhythm. What I like to do is just use the kick as the guideline. So I'm gonna make just a couple chops here. A helpful tip actually is making the hi-hats into 1 or 2 bar patterns. Or if you're in double time, 2 4-bar patterns. If you don't know how to count that, that's just for every 2 snares, that's a bar. So for every 4 snares, that's 2 bars. I generally like to make a hi-hat pattern that's within this range and then copy it over because it's more simple, and when you loop it over, it's already like familiar. Like your listener is familiar with it already. So there's no like new groove that they have to get adjusted to or anything like that. I'm not saying you can't venture out and make a whole different pattern. You can, but the thing is familiarity. If you can have the music play and then come up with a pattern and then repeat it, that means it's simple. It's not complex. So we definitely don't want to overdo this because we still have to have artists on these beats and shit. Let me show you. So I'm gonna make a chop here. Make it. I'll probably make a chop like right here. That doesn't go. So if you hear it, it's playing off the kick. And that's just one way. Another way you can do it is this. Let me delete all this shit. You can use the 2 and the 4 as guidelines. So I'm gonna bring these down just so you can hear them. Do you hear that rhythm? It plays off the kick, it plays off the melody mainly. So what I like to do is I like to just bring these up, get the mute button again, mute that, and then just make chops. Now, once you have the pattern, you can do variations over here. But me personally, I don't like to do that because I feel like that's doing too much. And the more simple it is, the more an artist can actually get on there and, you know, just use different flows and shit. Now, you might be asking too, why don't you go outside of it? And you can actually. I can do this, or I could actually hit that front. So when the snare hits, it goes off it, it bounces off it. See, that's where I fucked up right there on this side because it's not the same rhythm. It's not the same. It's not fitting in that same pocket. But as you can tell, right here is where I made a chop, and over here I made a chop. It's because it's just within that rhythm. That's usually what I like to do. I like to do that or play off the kick. Another thing I like to do, if I really want it bouncy, I can do this. I can play the hi-hat as a kick and then make chops. So now that I have that rhythm that's bouncy, I could just make chops. Okay. I'm gonna change that snap right there. So it has that triplet effect. And if you want, you could also select them and just make a copy and then just hold on to it and then just make like placements along the way. There's actually one I like right here. And if you want, you could just copy the hi-hat over and then just, I could change the pitch right here. And if I want, I could use a third hi-hat. You could do something like that. And if you have 3 hi-hats, you might feel like it's doing too much, but it's all in where you place it. Remember, in rhythm, placement matters. Just where you place the kick, just where you place the snares, the hi-hats, the 808s, all of that stuff matters. And when you combine that together, that's when you create a groove and you create a bounce. Okay, so now that we got that established, I'm going to show you some hotkeys. So usually what we do is we go over here and then, you know, sometimes we'll change the snap, whether it be over here or over here, right? But one thing I personally like to do is I like to just go up here and right click it. And this stock note length is going to pop up. Now it's not changing the snap. It's just going to change the kind of snap note that you want. So if I want a 1/6 step, that's going to pop up. If I right click it and I want a 1/2 step, that's going to pop up. So that's very useful. So if I want to make a chop right here, right? I want 1/3, right? I could just hit that and then I can copy. I could just hit that and then I can just copy and paste it. And then just another thing you can do is you could use a hotkey. And usually when we do hotkeys, we hit Alt U for the chopper or Alt A for the arpeggiator. They both do the same thing. But if you change the snap up here, you can click Control U and it automatically snaps to it. So if I want 1/3, I could just go right here and click Alt U. Now you might be asking, why do I need to know that? What do I, it's just the same thing. But usually what I like to do, is just in my eyes, I like to just stay in one snap and then do those little adjustments. Because if I, if I make a snap like this, right, I control paste it. And then I go over here to 1/6 and do the same thing. And then I go over here to 1/3 and do the same thing. I'm kind of going to get confused. A lot of times, me personally, I would get confused because I'm jumping too many notes. At least with this, you can select different ones. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the paint tool is used for. Usually people don't use the paint tool, but I remember I was watching a Southside on Periscope and shit. After I saw that, I was like, damn, that's kind of easy. He was actually using the paint tool. So one thing you can do is go over here to 1/3 step, or you can hit 1/6 and then just make little marks. Actually, we don't need the guidelines right now. if you want to, I know the paint tool, it drags it over. If you hold shift and then just drag, you can just paint like that. This is probably the only time you really want variation. If you want those like crazy hats, you can just hit like 1/3 too. Probably cut that out. You know, you could try different things. I probably wouldn't use this pattern, but you could just try different things and use them. Now, another thing you can do is use your open hats as hi-hats. So say I have just this pattern, right? I could go over here and just hit this crossfade knob and just set that to 1. Or I could just go to instruments and just do that, but yeah. I just do this and then do the same thing. Probably hit that. Probably might want to change the snap. Nah, it's better like that. One thing you want to do is you want to make sure it's on cut itself, because this will repeat like mad times. With hats, you really want them to have that forward motion. If you have hats that just are stale, they're not going to create that bounce. They're not going to create that groove at all. So I decided to use a different loop because I was getting pretty tired of the other one. So I'm going to show you some different things you can do with velocity, and also some things that you can actually use that actually help you speed up the process of hats. So I have this hat loop that I dragged over from the same kit, right? Now one thing I like to do is I like to hit Alt R just to randomize it, just to give it a little bit more bounce. Even if I just adjust it a little bit, I don't adjust it too much like that. I just adjust it just a little bit, just to give it that, just little subtle changes. Subtle changes make a big difference. You might not notice it, but it definitely does. And one thing I like to do is just click all of them and then just hold Alt and then just click the next direction. And then just offset it a bit. And it gives it more of a natural feel. And even if I don't do that, even if I drag this back, I can go over here to this offset knob in the function tab and just raise that. Now if I do it too much, you'll hear that it's not hitting that bounce, but just a small nudge. And the reason why we do that is because if you create in a computer, it's automatically going to be quantized. It's automatically going to be on grid, on time. And music isn't like that. So you can have things as a different feel, or just offset it just to give things more of a human feel, so it's not stale, Now one thing I like to do is I like to do this. I like to go in here. I like to open Edison and then just make little rolls. So I'm on 1/6. Let me see. Let me see. Probably the. So go to Edison. Make sure it's synced to the tempo. So all you gotta do is just click right here and just record it. Now after you record it, go over here. No, normalize it, and just hit this knob over here just to trim it, and then just drag it over. Now you could delete that and just do this, and then you can make little placements right here. So I'm gonna go back to step, and then you'll see what I mean. Now you see that that's super easy. Even in the kit, like I have just different stuff. So now the reason why I have those rolls in there and stuff is because it's a lot easier and you can just create a whole bunch of bounces. It's extremely easy and extremely good to use because you don't have to do the most. And the great thing about it is it's not on time, it's not quantized, it's not on grid. Even if I use the one that we just created, right, and I offset it, you hear that? It creates this little like different effect, and I can just flip it without doing the most. So I can do that, and then I could do different things, or if I want, I could just like really just flip it. As a matter of fact, if I want, I could actually just like clone this, reverse this, trim that, and then do different effects. So that actually ties into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is effects. If you use effects, that can create a whole different feel for your beats. If you use them on hi-hats, if you use them on perks. And I feel like if I use each two steps and use effect tricks on them, it can give me a ton of different inspiration. And not only that, I don't have to do too much. I could just add a different hi-hat pattern, or I could just leave it as is and it's just as good. Let me add a delay to this just to try it out. It might sound terrible. You could use just different effects, different things just to create it. Now another thing you can do is over here and affect the hi-hats, right? So say I want that. Nah, I want something like that, right? I can go over here and render it out and then use it as just like a little effect. Normalize that. You could just do different things with it. Now, let's go to panning. Panning, everybody knows you can do all sorts of things with panning. That's a little too much. Now, if I chop it down to just subtle, just pans, that's good. That's actually good enough. Unless you have that kind of effect that you want to achieve. But the thing is, subtle effects are the best thing because it's subtle. People can barely notice them, but people can feel them a lot more. So if I change the pitch just a little bit on some of the hats, nothing too crazy. In fact, let me hit that normalize and then see what the just a nah. Yeah, I guess we can roll with that. And then I'll change the velocity. So each one, I'm gonna do this, and then I'll do this. Now the velocity, you could just go all the way low, or you could hit them high. It doesn't really matter. That's just for taste. Now sometimes with the pitch, you might not want to do that much, but just a little subtle. Subtle things really matter, and that's really, should be the goal. Just real subtle things that fit within that bounds. I can go on and tell you more about percussion and voxes, but I think I've given you guys enough tools, enough shit, so that way you can get your hats better and do a lot more. Sorry this video was extra long. It took me like mad times to record it, but I appreciate you for watching. Thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. Also, hit my IG for producer tips and shit like that. I post them every day, and I'm gonna start posting a lot more tutorials, a lot more things. I'm gonna do a lot more giveaways, live streams, all of that. So thank you for watching. Yeah, subscribe. So I'm gonna show you a melody tip that I like to use when I have beat block or when I can't come up with any melodies or anything.